Hello, I'm Anthony Watts, and I run the most viewed climate-related website in the world called What's Up With That. And you're watching another segment of WUWT-TV. Today we're going to conduct an experiment, and the experiment had to do with a claim made by an outfit called Principia Scientific International, otherwise known as the Slaying the Sky Dragon folks. Now, they have this belief that the greenhouse effect is entirely bogus, and in fact they say that exactly on their webpage. But in a recent rebuttal to some work and some essays done by Dr. Roy Spencer and myself, there was a claim made by one of their people, Dr. Alan Siddons, in a graphic that said that if you have a light bulb like this one, and you have a mirror like this one, that if you place the light bulb in front of the mirror, that the light bulb cannot heat itself. It would not get any warmer. Basically what they're saying here is that there'd be no reflection from the mirror back to the light bulb to heat itself up. Well, I think that claim is probably bogus. We're going to find out. So I've devised an experiment. And I've tested this a few times individually to see how things work, and I've come up with this particular alignment of things because it works best in a live video situation. Now, I'm recording all this continuously. There'll be no interruptions, no edits, so no one can claim that there was something strange done or something got switched or anything like that. What you see is what you get in this video. Now, what we've got first is a forward-looking infrared camera, a FLIR, and then over here we have a 65-watt light bulb. I also have a timer right here. And of course the video camera we're recording all within this mirror. Now, the way the experiment is designed is, first I'm going to watch the temperature of the light bulb as I turn it on, and you'll see the temperature of the surface of the bulb go up on the forward-looking infrared camera. And at some point it will reach an equilibrium temperature. That'll be the temperature at which on the surface of the bulb there's no increase in temperature any further. The amount of heat being dissipated matches the amount of heat being put into the surface of the bulb. So there will be an equilibrium. Somewhere around 8 to 9 minutes is where we figure that's going to happen based on some early tests of all this that I've done. At that point, what I'm going to do then is put this mirror in front of the bulb at the appropriate distance as indicated by Dr. Siddons' diagram. And I will then move the video camera so you can see everything is working. And we'll let the experiment proceed again for the same amount of time that it took to reach equilibrium temperature that we'll get on our timer here. And then I'll take the mirror away, we'll measure the surface temperature of the bulb again and see if there is any change. I believe physics will say that there is going to be a temperature change on the surface of that bulb, and the claim made by the Principia folks is in fact bogus. So we will start the process. First thing I'm going to do is turn on the bulb and simultaneously start the timer. Here we go. Okay, the process is going on, and as you can see, the temperature of the bulb is already rising. It's about 94 degrees now at about 14 seconds or so into it. And it's a matter of waiting now. We'll just watch and wait as the temperature of the bulb goes up and the timer goes on. Okay, and about a minute into it, we're at 140 some degrees Fahrenheit now, and continuing to rise. The way equilibrium temperature works is we should see the greatest temperature rises in the first few minutes, and then it should slow and almost stop, and then stop completely in the later part. Given the fact that I do have the numbers available here at timing intervals, we should be able to plot a graph afterwards and put that up on the post that I'm going to make for this website presentation of this experiment. Okay, at about 2 minutes into it, we're at 174 Fahrenheit. At 3 minutes, we're at 191 Fahrenheit. At 4 minutes, we're at 200 degrees Fahrenheit. One thing to note is that the top of the bulb is warmer than the center, and that's to be expected since heat would go upwards. And that's part of the reason I chose this particular bulb. The kind of bulb that I chose is a 65 watt standard GE spotlight bulb, which, because of its shape, has a mostly flat surface, and it made it easier to get a good repeating target for the infrared camera on the front. I tried some early experiments with round bulbs, standard household round bulb, but the problem was that they were, because of the roundness, it was hard to get a repeatable centered target on the bulbs, and there were inconsistencies in the surface, so this made it much easier using this particular style of bulb. But the style of bulb shouldn't really matter to the experiment, because the premise of the Principia Slayer folks is that the light bulb in the mirror can't heat itself. At 5 minutes, we're at 206 degrees, and the rate of temperature increase has slowed. At 6 minutes, we're at 208 degrees Fahrenheit. Right now the display is bouncing back and forth between 208 and 209. We're getting very close to the equilibrium temperature of the bulb. Okay, at 7 minutes we're reading 209 degrees Fahrenheit, going back and forth between 208 and 209. We are very, very close to that equilibrium surface temperature. Coming up on 8 minutes here shortly, and the 209 still seems to be holding. So we may be at equilibrium surface temperature for the bulb at this point. Okay, we're at 8 minutes and we still have no change in the surface temperature at 209. So we're going to call that 8 minutes for reaching equilibrium surface temperature at 209 F, as you can see right here. That's the baseline, 209 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the mirror in front of the bulb, between the bulb and the flare. And it's at about 3 inches away from the surface of the bulb. I'm using this iron here as a prop, and I'm doing some adjusting to make sure everything is parallel. Okay, we're ready there. And so we'll call it from about 8 minutes and 30 seconds as the start time. And so that means that at about 16:30 I'll be able to remove the mirror and we will take a look at the temperature. So what I'm going to do now is to prove to you that I haven't changed anything, is I'm going to show you by lifting up the camera what we have here. We'll look at both sides. Okay, so now it's just a matter of a waiting game again. And unfortunately, this is the really boring part because I got nothing really to show you. Although you can see that around the edges here, there's my finger on the flare, around the edges, it's getting a little warmer. There is some heat going through the mirror, which would be expected. By the way, for those of you that might be wondering about this high-tech environment in which we're doing this experiment, done without any government funding, it's in my living room, on my dining room, or pardon me, on my dining room table, not my living room. My son William's watching from the living room. And Kenji is right here watching the experiment too, to make sure that everything is kosher for the Union of Concerned Scientists. Okay, we're up to 11 minutes, and we'll keep going until we get to 16:30, at which point I will then remove the mirror, and we'll see if the temperature on the surface of the bulb has risen or stayed the same. Interesting that the back of the mirror here, as you can see on the flare, my finger's pointing to it, that temperature there has risen up to around 88, 89 degrees. So we are getting a little bit of heat through the mirror, which would be expected. Less than 4 minutes to go. About 3 minutes to go at this point. Two minutes to go. One minute to go. And quickly, just so everyone can see that nothing has changed, I'm going to move the camera again, show you that the setup is exactly as it was before. Alright, we're coming up on 16 minutes and 30 seconds. We're going to get ready to pull the mirror away. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the mirror first and remove the iron. We should be able to see a heat pattern on the back of the mirror from the bulb, because some of the heat is going to go through the glass and into the back. Okay, here we go, 1630. Alright, there's the pattern that we expected. Now let's look at the surface temperature of the bulb. Oh my goodness, it's 228 degrees Fahrenheit, and now that the mirror has been removed, I expect it will start to fall as the bulb reaches a new equilibrium temperature, probably back to 208, and there it goes, down to 225 already. I would say that the premise of the Principia Slayer folks about a light bulb being unable to heat itself when placed up against the mirror has been falsified. And it makes you wonder, if they get something as simple as this wrong, what about the rest of their science? Thank you for watching WUWT-TV.